Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of the name Michael Jordan. Even if you're not a follower of the sport of basketball, his name has circulated around social media and since 1991 has become a brand name. After all, it takes a great feat to be so well known that even those that aren't interested in sports know his name. This isn't much of a surprise considering he's one of the best basketball players of all time. Who else would lead the Chicago Bulls to win 6 NBA championships and be nominated for the most valuable player for each of those wins? It's certainly not a feat just anyone can accomplish. It takes someone with grit, drive, ambition, and the desire for competition. Something that Jordan's always had since young, according to sources. Which leads everyone to the age-old question, just how has Jordan reached such feats? And why would he choose basketball of all sports? It's always interesting going back to understand how celebrities, especially athletes, come to do what they love, and how they have become so good at it that they're world famous. If you're new to this channel, welcome! Here we'll be covering celebrities and how they live out their lives of luxury, fame, and of course, fortune. So without further ado, let's talk about some context first. Michael Jordan is born on February 17, 1963, into a family of 4 other siblings known as Larry, Dolores, Roslyn, and James Jr. However, instead of being raised in his place of birth, Brooklyn, New York, his parents decided to take him and his siblings to live in Wilmington, North Carolina. At the time, his mother Dolores works as a bank teller and aspiring author. Meanwhile, his father works as a maintenance worker turned general manager for General Electric. This sets up their children to be able to focus on their studies and explore their own hobbies and interests. And Michael isn't the only one that fell in love with the idea of playing the sport. His older brother Larry would also decide to put his own work into learning and becoming a great player in the sport, although his name wouldn't be as well circulated as Michael's was. Still, without Larry and Michael's father James, he might have not even considered taking up the sport at all, considering his father and he bonded over the sports of baseball and basketball. And he's always wanted to follow in Larry's footsteps, which is very awe-inspiring when you think about it. Traditionally, the heroes seem to be the parents. Siblings normally aren't mentioned as much, so it's really touching that Jordan would give Larry some of the credit as he made his way up the ranks. However, something tragic would happen that would prevent many beautiful memories from being created. James Jordan, father of 5 and husband to Dolores Jordan, wouldn't have been able to celebrate the many successes that Michael would achieve, as he's killed during the raid of 2 teenagers while heading his way home. The family wouldn't hear from him for 11 days before someone finally fishes James Jordan's body out of McCall, South Carolina. A tragic end to a great man. But we can imagine that one of Jordan's many motivations for the sport isn't to let his father die in vain. Of course, there's a deep love for the sport of basketball for Michael himself. And surprisingly enough, back in Michael's heydays in high school, he was rejected. Would you imagine it? Michael Jordan, bringer of the gold for the Chicago Bulls, was at first rejected. Because surprisingly enough, Jordan's been rejected in high school due to his scrawny physique and height of 5'11" at the time. Which for us today is insane, considering that his height is close to 6 feet. And I don't think any of us imagine Jordan being rejected from the varsity. At the time, players are expected to be anywhere from 6'3" to 7 feet tall. So the rejection put Jordan to work, and thanks to the growth spurt that he gets, he manages to jump from 5'11" to 6'3", which finally enables him to debut for the Chicago Bulls on October 26, 1984, to battle against the Washington Bullets for the gold. And while the numbers aren't legendary, Chicago still managed to beat Washington 109-93, allowing Jordan to finish the game with 16 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. After that, he continues to score game after game, continuing his streak of being the NBA's Rookie of the Year, averaging about 28.2 points per game, 5.9 assists, 6.5 rebounds, and 2.4 steals in only his first season. For anyone else, this would take quite a feat, so it seems almost miraculous about winning 6 NBA championships and being the most valuable player for each of them. It's no wonder Jordan's a brand name. Jordan's success would even enable him to obtain his very first mansion at 28 years old in 1991, after purchasing the 7-acre property on 2700 Point Drive, Highland Park, Illinois, zip code 60035. A listing on Zillow shows the mansion's gates and Jordan's jersey shirt number 23 right in the front. Boasting square footage of 32,683, the humble abode comes with 9 bedrooms and 19 full bathrooms. A fully furnished home, its construction was finished 2 years after Jordan first purchased it, putting the total for the home at a whopping $29 million. And originally, the home wouldn't be purchased for 12 years because of the huge amounts of personalization and the high price. Only a billionaire with love and respect for Jordan would even go so far as to purchase the house. And you think someone would, because while every room you walk into screams Jordan, there are some very nice features that would make anyone do a double take, including Jordan's famous cigar room, set with poker tables where Jordan would play high-stakes gambling, as this was another one of Jordan's loves. Traditionally speaking, cigar rooms can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. And due to everything else being high-end and high quality, we can anticipate that Jordan's cigar room leans towards a more expensive end, even though on average, people that build these rooms can spend up to $5,000 on average. There's even a room with a pool table and several other high-end games that would make any man thirst for his luxurious man cave. A high-end place with boundless quality, class, and plenty of space to bring guests to throw some of the wildest parties. There's even a basketball court with Jordan's name etched into the foundation of the wood. And because of how expensive basketball courts can be to build, this only contributes to the original asking price. High-quality basketball courts can cost up to $76,000 to make, and because of the little details that we've just discussed, it would make sense that Jordan would stick with the high-end prices. Jordan's even installed a movie theater fit for a king with a family to watch their favorite movies every night. Movie theaters in general can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. Given the size, although it's high quality, the price tag might sit in the middle of these numbers. There's also no need to worry because another great feature about the mansion is that the property is outlined with trees that act as a defense mechanism against anyone trying to steal your privacy. Which a lack of privacy could pose issues given how expensive this mansion is and everything that's inside it, including the furniture and the supposedly endless features that Jordan's installed. And speaking of issues, first-time home buyers want to be able to personalize homes to their taste, so perhaps the personalization can be a bit too much for just anyone to handle and take on. After all, the home can be considered a reflection of the self, and if this saying applies to Jordan's mansion, then every nook and cranny simply tells of his presence based on the features we've delved into before. These factors alone make it understandable why this mansion has been considered unsellable in the real estate department, despite the many features that this mansion does contain, which are more than we've previously discussed. But just when you think we've hit the end of it all, there are even more features to discuss. All the previous rest inside this home, the previous rest inside the home, where there are many wonderful amenities outside of it as well, such as the infamous infinity pool that's located just outside the entrance to the home and a high-quality tennis court adjacent to it. Infinity pools can range anywhere from $55,000 to $150,000 to make. Given that Jordan's mansion comes with one that has a small island and a bridge, we're leaning towards the higher end of the price range. Tennis courts can cost up to $76,000 to make. Each of these features alone is what helped contribute to the hefty price tag of $29 million. Why? Well, tennis courts can range anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 for any that are high-end. Because of the amount of money that's been spent here, Jordan's bound to have built a high-end and high-quality tennis court that can last a long time. For his golf simulator, he added this specifically because of his love for the sport, apart from his other love for basketball. Because this simulator is so high-end, along with everything else, the cost of these can range anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000. Because this mansion has been on the market for approximately 12 years, the real estate agent had to go so far as to cut it in half. Anytime mansions or houses in general stay on the market for longer than they should, the next step is always to cut the price in half. Jordan's $29 million home goes from this original asking price to $14,855,000, which, funny as it sounds, the numbers 14855, when added together, equal his jersey number 23. Even so, there are still no takers, and it's disheartening, because this home is such a legacy for Jordan, given that it's his first mansion after he won 6 times with the Chicago Bulls, and he would work with his teammates to train and keep them up to speed, because no one would want to stay in this spacious mansion all by themselves. To recap, the mansion is still unsellable, and there haven't been any takers or people that have shown interest, despite the real estate agent hosting bidding auctions where potential buyers would need to bid at least $250,000, and all thanks to the original asking price of $29 million where the house is located, and the hefty amounts of personalization. There's so much work that needs to be done for home buyers to even begin to feel comfortable. And while this might sound like repeat information, it's important to note that Michael Jordan is a great man with a great legacy. But yet, this brings home another point. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, there are fans who wonder why Jordan's deciding to kill his own investment by selling the property when there are so many other things that he could do with it given its legacy, such as turning it into a museum honoring his own legacy with the sport of basketball. After all, given his history, it would be a good place when Jordan passes to visit and keep all his important trophies and memorabilia for fans and fellow athletes alike. Others have even suggested turning it into a training ground for athletes, whether they're into tennis, golf, or basketball, as these are showcased throughout the home given its features. After all, Jordan's trained with his teammates plenty of occasions to help keep them up to speed, and even if he doesn't provide these services for free, he could charge rent and make the space into a hotel where people could stay. It would be a shame to just see the house collecting property taxes given its nature. Because it's the original home of Michael Jordan himself, it deserves the same amount of respect and honor Jordan received. Despite it being an inanimate object, thanks to Jordan's legacy and the memories he's made within the home, it deserves nothing less. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to click like and subscribe to be able to receive other notifications for future videos like this one. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.